Hey guys, it's Mathil here once again, and it seems they've finally given you a way to become Atziri herself in this game, and that is through the new Staff Atziri's rule. So it's a pretty funky item that has some very unique properties. It drops off of Uber Atziri, I think, at a pretty low rate. I bought it for like 18C a couple days ago, and thought I'd put it to the test. And the obvious play with this skill is basically go Ignite for both versions of the Stormcall and the Flame Blast. So basically what's happening is you right click a skill called Queen's Demand, and then you will either get a Flame Blast proc or a Stormcall proc, and it alternates between the two. As you can see, I am currently using both though, so whenever I right click, there is both a Flame Blast and a Stormcall going off at once. That's because I'm using Unleash, and I decided to build into just pure hit crit damage because Ignite is the obvious play, and I know that a few people have already gone for the Ignite version. So I decided to do something a bit different and try that out. And this is an assassin with just a lot of crit multi, and really hard hitting damage. It's not a very good build, is what I'm going to say, and I don't really recommend copying it. To pull off good enough crit damage and all of that, I basically had to forego all defenses, all life, and just play very YOLO playstyle. Now, in the end, mapping was still pretty decent because I did actually set up a Orb of Storm setup that had Ellie Prolif, and using the 3 Dragons hat, my lightning damage was freezing. So with the Orb of Storms, it was basically hard carrying my defenses and freezing everything always. And that was a very powerful defense mechanic for me throughout all of mapping, and something I can thoroughly recommend if you've got some good cold damage for many other characters as well. But in this case, I had no real cold damage. It was just the lightning being 3 dragoned into sort of freezing. Otherwise, you can see that, yep, every single time I right click, we unleash both skills. There is a fat cooldown on the actual skills themselves, 1.5 seconds. So you can't just sit there spamming them. And when you rotate between them, it will pick one or the other, but currently it's a bit bugged. So if you're not using the unleash form and actually doing the rotation, sometimes it just plain won't cast. It's a bit weird and a bit shitty, but unleash, I think, more or less fixes that, and it will always cast when you do have the skills off of cooldown. So you can get some cooldown recovery to get it to a lower cooldown. You can, as well as that, lower the duration of the skills. So I am currently running less duration support, because by default it takes like 3 seconds for either of those skills to go off. So you definitely need to invest in some less duration to have an enjoyable mapping experience. And in this case, I've got the gem and also anointed the passive on the tree for less duration, and then it's still pretty slow. It takes like a second for either of the skills to go off, and as well as that, I am using Vile Flame Blast. As you can see, it's the really blinding mega bomb of an attack that with the MTX is just completely ridiculous, but I went maximum area just for the memes in this character, since chat kind of pushed me into doing it, and it just sort of made sense for this build. But it definitely doesn't pay to go full-blown max area. It's just more for the fun. And it's somewhat effective in mapping, as you can see. Just don't ever get hit, basically, because we have no defense mechanic, we have no life, and it's a very active bullshit playstyle. Like I said, not something I could recommend to you or hope that you try and do, because the Ignite version should turn out much better. Probably got like similar DPS, maybe even better, but then you could still build into like some regen, some defensiveness, some life, and I imagine an Elementalist version with the Ignite is probably going to have like 6k life and some good defensive stats as well. And on top of that, this character may have had some redeeming features, some saving grace, if it just blew the fuck up some single target, but it didn't really. I had damn near 100% crit, and just about as much offense as I could muster on somewhat of a budget, and I still wasn't completely deleting these endgame bosses, so that makes the fights pretty dangerous when you don't have any defenses. You can only really justify 0 defenses if you are completely deleting the enemy, and we weren't. So my version of just a crit hit, semi-budget Atziri's rule build was a bit of a flop, but it did get me through the game and it was somewhat viable. It's just not really worth doing or worth playing for me any further. So I'll go into how I made the character and then give you the Maven kill on this character. Alright, so here we are with our character, level 89, Atziri front, party back. Just the initial cosplay I did with the completely unpainted back is the entire theme there. So the staff itself, first of all, it's level 68, so it kind of sucks leveling into it as completely not your build. That's pretty annoying as well. But the main thing is it says grants level 20 Queen's Demand skill. So that's this thing here, that's your right click. And then when you use Queen's Demand, it can trigger level 20 Flame's Judgment, can trigger Storm of Judgment. Which basically means it will just rotate between the two, and the right click just has a certain long cast time and a certain mana cost associated with it. So if you take out Unleash, for example, you'll be able to see that when we right click, we do Flame Blast, we then do Stormcall, then do Flame Blast, then do Stormcall. When you're out and about and actually mapping, sometimes if you're like rotating between the two, one just straight up won't go off, which is really weird. It's a bit of a bug and I think they're aware of it. So these are the cooldowns here, these are the skills, as you can see, and it goes off of cooldown after 1.5 seconds. But that's because I have a bit of cooldown recovery. By default it is 1.5. With Unleash, if you have that in, you'll be able to notice that you can get both of them off at the same time with one click. And that is pretty powerful and pretty useful when we're trying to overlap a lot of the damage. And once again, less duration does a lot of work in making it a lot more palatable to play, because otherwise Storm of Judgment is 1.7 seconds, this is 1.7 seconds as well, and it's just a really long wind up before it does anything when you're out actually mapping and stuff. So that's basically the details of it. You can find the skills themselves on PoEDB or the wiki or some shit. As well as that, you can't be stunned and damage can't be reflected. So to begin with, it has like, I think 4,000 base damage or something like that, the Flame Blast, 650% damage effectiveness, so any added damage is going at that rate, and it also has 25 Fire Pen. So it has a decent amount of stats to begin with. And then the Stormcall has like half of that damage, and like 25 Lightning Pen, and like 250 damage effectiveness. So the Elementalist play with the entire Ignite thing is probably going to be very nice for the Flame Blast indeed. I think it's comparable to like a Fireball, which is pretty big damage. So that's the main thing about the entire staff, and then you just put supports in there. It doesn't have to be linked, they're all going to function for the staff as well. And we do have some text up here saying the things that don't work with the staff, since it's asked so often. Since it uses a skill that then triggers a skill, a lot of things straight up don't work with this, including like totems and Trinity and pretty sure Arcanist Brand and Cascade. It says that you cannot use Spell Cascade. I think Archmage works, but it's just bad. Cast on crit, you know, basically you're just supposed to self-cast. That's the idea behind this stuff. You should be self-casting, and the best way to probably pull this off will be with the Ignite versions. So aside from that, we've only got one interesting item, that's 3 dragons. I felt like we really needed the additional freeze, and then that fire damage shocking should be pretty good, since the biggest damage we have is fire. And then everything else pretty basic, you know, get some cast speed on your gloves, and that's where we put our Orbis Storms, which we have attached to Ellie Prolif, so that the freeze is just going everywhere instantly and protecting us. Then some cooldown recovery on boots, cooldown recovery on belt, a carcass jack. I only just 6 linked at the end of this character, so most of the build was with a 5 link, but the 6 link is only for a Val Flame Blast, just to try and make that hit a little bit harder. And it does hit somewhat hard. It can one-shot some bosses, but sometimes it feels a bit flaccid. And then we didn't get a curse on hit ring for Assassin Mark, so in the end I just ran Arcanist brand Assassin Mark to get that up on bosses. And then some cast speed, crit multi on an amulet. And I tried to get as much area as I could, so area there, area there, area there, and then plenty on the passive tree as well. Actually just a bit there, and also the staff nodes. And as far as the passive tree is concerned, there's nothing else too interesting going on. Getting the power charges, all the staff nodes. We do pick up a Dominus Militant Faith, so if it's a High Templar Dominus, that means it will have this keystone, which gives us more spell damage per power charge, and when we have 7 power charges, that's 21% more damage. Good stuff there. And I also grabbed a Watcher's Eye with 10 penetration for Zealotry. Otherwise, as an assassin, I went with power charge nodes for crit. These nodes, which is pretty damn good for ultimatums, actually, if you have a look at it. 20 reduced damage taken while there are at least 2 rare or unique enemies nearby, and there's quite often at least 2 rare enemies nearby. Otherwise, plenty of damage as well, and then the really big damage node there too. So that's most of the character that we need to talk about. I am otherwise also running Flame Dash, Second Wind, Clarity, Stone Golem. In this setup is Inspiration, Anomalous Orb of Storms, just gives us an additional 2 splits. I don't think it does much once we're using Ellie Prolif. And then in this setup, in the staff, we have Less Duration, Unleash, Ellie Penetration, which is the first time I think I've ever actually used this gem. Power Charge on crit, which gives 4% more per power charge. So once again, it's not for the power charge on crit portion. Crit Strikes, which is just for mapping, but then we put on Conk Effect for bosses, and then Inspiration, which does tick off pretty quickly, but that's also why we have it on Orb of Storms, to keep generating it pretty routinely. And then over here we have Fire Pen, Conk Effect, Combustion, Power Charge on crit, Ellie Focus, and Flame Blast. And I didn't really want to use Ellie Focus because I do want to, crit big with the Flame Blast for shocks, but for the most part I think this should shock harder anyway. And that's about it. That's my attempt, a very scuffed attempt at this character. I don't recommend copying it unless you just fucking for some reason really like the look of that and you want to clench at all times through your gameplay. It is super uncomfortable for ultimatums. I rarely died on them, but it was close almost always. And in the end, with plenty of deaths on plenty of bosses and stuff, like the end game shit, 21 deaths, it's, yeah, quite a lot. But it's a very dangerous playstyle and something that's incredibly involved. I don't particularly recommend it to anyone. So look into the Ignite versions. Some people will have builds for you. I might put up a passive tree at some point. Just basically Elementalist, get the Ignite stuff, go around the tree, pick up some Ignite stuff. Should be pretty basic to build. But for now, I'll leave you with what is probably one of the most scuffed Mavens I've ever done. So thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the build, and I'll see you next time. Chance of this happening. I might not even make it out of like one phase. Straight up. What you believers are doing is insanity. I'm so wary of a Cascade of Pain that I just have to like wait for it, dodge it, and then move on. No, no, no! Okay, we're fine.
Stand still.
Zero chance I finish this, by the way. Like, I can probably get through some phases. Oh, I cull her. That's good. Dude, fuck off! I got frozen for so fucking long there. Okay. Wait, did he do the explosion? Okay, now he did. Like maybe not 0% chance that it happens, but pretty fucking low. I have no idea what's happening here. How's that thing legal in this fight? The DPS just isn't good enough for what our playstyle is. It needed to be better. And I think part of it is I need to be on top of the boss with double flame blast to hit. I wasn't paying attention. What was it? This, that? Oh, Jesus.
Stand still.
Cascade of Pain? Okay.
The prettiest piece makes the whole.
Leslie can't take a single fucking hit at the start there. Not at the start, I mean her actual attacks. Too hard with this DPS and this squishiness.
Stand still.
Don't be like that.
Cascade of pain.
Come on, Flame Blast. Oh, that was pretty decent damage. Flame Blast gave us some chunk.
This will not be an escape.
Dude, I actually have to do fucking phases of this shit here. And I fucked that up. But that's fine, this isn't the last phase. Okay, that's fine. Oh god. Oh god. Shit's really hitting the fan now. Woo, baby. 0 regen build. I mean, on the plus side, that means that the regen beam, if I get hit by it, doesn't do anything, right? That's nice. If I can make that mistake. What the fuck, dude? That piety in ice form? Wait, what? Piety ice form can just like show up?
My irritation is growing.
Yo, my flame dash just then threw me back on top of the... like it rubber banded me.
This will not be.
I don't know why Quinn would watch this if he's watching it. Not gonna learn shit. Do I have to do the entire thing again or what?
Do what I say.
Or is this the last phase now? I think it's the last phase and I just then fucked up by putting a lot of balls there. Didn't see them coming until the end. Didn't see the balls coming until the end. No, bitch! She teleported out of my Vile Flame Blast. I mean, this isn't the worst last phase in the world. Just some pretty average. Oh my god, actually, it is pretty bad. I didn't realize all of them was that spread out. Crimson fucking Township boss. No. Oh my god. Okay. This is gonna be really hard to do memory phase on, like just running through shit. Okay, I'm probably going to fuck this up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that it? Nope, wrong way. Ugh, nailed it. I thought it was already done. I'm gonna have to do so many fucking memory phases.
Take this. Stand still.
Next time she ports, we hit her with a fat one of those.
A cascade of pain.
I couldn't move from that, and I don't know why it didn't hit me, but I'm fine with it.
Stand still. This will not. Scurry.
Oh, don't start like this, dude. That's so unfair. Did you cold yet? Oh my god, I can't believe that actually got fucking
The living toy must
completed somehow.
for it continues to play.
That is so unbelievably
I should do this again.
uncomfortable.
Children are capricious, Nomad. Be warned.